Thank you for tuning in to the MD Arsenal podcast. We are live on Facebook and YouTube from 8:30 to 9:30 Eastern Time every Tuesday morning. Please tune in now to ask questions and interact with us live. Hosted by Mike, Caroline, and Dudley, and brought to you by MD Arsenal, located at 19828 National Pike in Hagerstown, Maryland, your premier firearms retail store, indoor shooting range, and trading facility. Maryland Arsenal is your newest premier gun range. Located conveniently off I-70 in Hagerstown, Maryland, with a 7-lane, state-of-the-art, fully automated targeting system.
Definitely not
right there, bullseye. Offering retail firearms, hunting, tactical gear, and more. Our 40-student training center will be offering classes and certifications. Contact us today, info@mdarsenal.com, or visit us on the web at mdarsenal.com. We'll see how it goes.
The little things that make you happy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're on, baby.
Well, I wasn't expecting that beat to drop so heavy.
It's good morning music.
That's right. Get you motivated.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the MD Arsenal podcast. I guess this is episode 3 or 4.
4 now.
Four.
Episode 4. Okay.
Yeah, here we are.
I'm Mike, the general manager for MD Arsenal, joined by Caroline with Medina Media, and I don't know who the joker is on the end over there.
Dudley, just Dudley.
Just Dudley.
Yes.
All right.
Even though
Just Dudley.
My mother's probably not happy about that, but just Dudley.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So what do you think, Dudley, of our last week here at the Arsenal? Any comments, questions, concerns?
No, I do. So I do want to say a little bit of something. So I want to say thanks to everybody that has been coming out supporting us. It's been a great last 2 weeks. This is week number 3 for us actually, and we've been really happy and excited about the turnout we've been getting. The community's been supporting us, and we're really happy that. And we just want to say thanks. Like it's really been great.
Yeah, I think it's it seems like every day I get a handful of people that come in and they'll say, oh, I'm just so glad you're back. I'm just so glad you're back. And I'm not ready to shoot right now, but I'm coming back. And, I just want to come and talk and say, hey, thanks for coming in. I think that there are a lot of people who, little shout out to our friends at Machine Gun Nest, but whenever when Hendershots was there before, and Hendershots moved out of town, we had a lot of people that were hitting me up as general manager to say, where can I shoot now? And so I called Matt down there and asked him, I said, hey, can I send some people your way? And they were kind enough to allow people to go down there at a reduced price compared to what they were paying at Hendershots. So we've got a lot of people now that, they love some of the other places they've been shooting, but they want to come back because it's a little closer. You get off work at 5 o'clock. We're open to 8 o'clock in the evening. You can come in and shoot. So we closed a little earlier before, it was the previous ownership, but now we're open to 8 o'clock, 10 to 8 during the week, 10 to 7 on weekends, so open on Sundays. So I think a lot of people are excited about that. I always, I think that in the retail world, if you want to be successful, you got to be open 7 days a week. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I think that, I've never been a huge fan of talking bad about your competition because I think it just makes you look foolish, right? So I think there's plenty of room in the pool for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
But, when we're competing, at the Arsenal with our retail store, with the indoor shooting range, and with our training facility, our training room, we're competing against other shops, other gun shops, other ranges, but we're also competing against other entertainment, right? So, probably some bad examples because of the pandemic. I'm not exactly sure what's open, but, other entertainment opportunities. We're competing for entertainment dollars at some level. So, so I think there's, we talked about this many times before, but the gun community's pretty strong.
Oh, yeah.
And once you're in the gun community and the gun culture,
Yes.
and you figure out that's a gun guy or a gun gal, then everything else is kind of like, oh, well, you're a gun person. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, that is one of the misconceptions that people have about the gun community in general, is that it's very sort of segregated. But like you said, once you're a gun person, they don't care about anything else.
That's all they need to know.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I know that, like, with us coming in for the first time for the kids and being there, you know, before the opening, you could see that it's like entertainment for the whole family. But I feel like there's also that demand right now. Like, there's a lot of demand for firearms, and there's a lot of demand for people wanting to take classes and learn how to get their, you know, qualifications and stuff. So saying, you know, like, there's definitely enough room in the industry for more stores and more
I think more is better.
ranges and more everything. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, and everyone's concerned about the ammo availability of ammunition. It's tough to get, but there is a lot of ammo floating around out there because we have shooters in every day. So,
Yeah.
and I made a video and put it on social media last week and also uploaded it to our YouTube channel. But I went through a short little drill in the range where, you know, because at the arsenal, our targets can be programmed to edge and face. So you can literally program the target to edge and face, okay, and rotate. And you can run a little drill. So what I did was I just had 4 rounds in my magazine, you know, in my holster, gun loaded, and I just put that target on edge, and then I set it 2-second delay, 2-second face, 2-second edge, ran that twice, and I would put the 2 shots on target when the target faced, drawing from the holster. So I think little things like that you can do with a limited amount of ammunition to be really effective in your training. A lot of enjoyment, because you think about what I was doing there, and drawing from the holster, which we do allow at the arsenal, drawing from the holster, shooting shots on target at a target that's dynamic, and also under time constraints. So I think you don't have to come in and shoot 100 rounds to get good, effective practice and get better at what you're doing. I think with a limited amount of ammunition, I think there's things you can do. You know, there's been times. Have you ever gone to the range, just shot 100 rounds and thought, well, that was fun, but didn't really learn anything?
Yeah, I mean that's.
There was a guy that posted something on Facebook the other day, like, "Oh, that was fun, but I just spent like $300 in ammo in a few minutes just firing off rounds."
Yeah. So I mean, you know, there's certainly a therapy. I think there's the term range therapy is true. I mean, there's a therapeutic thing about just going in and shooting for a while, but you know, if you're using, most people, you know, when I talk to customers, I mean, probably 90% of the folks that are buying handguns in particular are buying them for home protection. Or, you know, want to have a gun around the house.
Yep.
So if that's the case, there are a few things you can do to be more effective at that, and probably learning to draw from the holster, you know, shooting under a time constraint, you know, maybe shooting using a barricade. So there's lots of things you can do to enhance your skill set at the arsenal. So we're going to be offering full training calendar. Okay, I'm probably going to shoot that out in an email today with we've got the whole month of March scheduled, so it's going to be pretty packed. If you're not part of our email list, I'll encourage you to go to our Facebook page, go to the top of the page and click sign up here. You can sign up for our email list. If you're not on social media, just give us a call at the shop with your email, or drop us your email in a direct message on Facebook, and we'll sign you up for the email list, because that's how we're going to communicate with our customers.
Right.
You know, I've worked at other shops that, you know, put a lot of guns on Facebook and stuff, and if you look at Facebook's terms of service, if you're an FFL, you can absolutely put guns on your Facebook Facebook feed, but people complain. You know, people complain, you know, somebody doesn't like that gun or whatever, and then you get in Facebook jail for 3 or 4 days. So I don't want to jeopardize our social media presence.
And we're every day putting all the, you know, classes and stuff on Facebook. Right. So even if we're not posting about the guns and stuff, we are still have a class schedule there, so you can pay attention to what's coming up and, you know, get input, you know, make sure you mark that you're interested, so we send you notifications of changes and stuff going on with the classes. And also on Facebook, you know, feel free, if you guys are having a good time and you're telling Mike all this great stuff, please write us a review. Go on Google, write a review. Go on Facebook and write a review. That would be really a great way for you to support, you know, what we're trying to do, and telling other people about your experience over there. So we do have a question right now from Cindy Collier. She says, "You're staying open until 8 p.m. When I drove by the building, it looked dark earlier than that."
Well, it's a dark part of town.
I was going to say, maybe it would look dark, but what are the hours?
Right? So there's that security tent on the window.
Well, I got 2 suggestions for Cindy's. First of all, you probably need to slow down a little bit. Right? But
just stop it.
No, seriously, the front, there's no. I mean, that's that's considered a state highway in front of the shop there. They don't have any street lights out there, so the road is very dark. But the lights are on. You know, we actually upgraded the lighting on the front of the building a couple years ago to make it brighter. So It's just a dark part of town, but we are the shining star in that part of town. Right. So just stop on by. Yeah, we're open until 8 o'clock.
So yeah, we're open till 8 o'clock.
So you want to talk a little bit about the classes that we're going to be offering?
Yeah, so we've got a full schedule. Dudley and I sat down the other day and worked on this. So we're going to be, like I said, most of those classes are now on Facebook, so you can actually sign up on Facebook under events. We're also going to email out a whole listing, a training calendar. We're going to have, first of all, we're going to offer Maryland HQL, so the HQL class. Just to go into a little explanation here, because I still get this question a lot. Right. Maryland HQL is a handgun qualification license. So with very few exceptions in the state of Maryland, if you want to purchase or receive a transfer of a handgun, you would have to be in possession of a valid Maryland handgun qualification license, or HQL. So that's a 3-step process: education, fingerprints, and background check application with Maryland State Police. So the class is a 4-hour minimum mandated class. So we offer that class. We're going to offer, I think, in the next weekend, not this weekend, but the following weekend. Yeah, we're offering, on Saturday, we're going to offer 2. We're going to offer one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So if you're interested in signing up for that class, we'd encourage you to reach out or sign up through Facebook, because those classes will fill up quickly.
Yeah, they do.
So we go over in the Maryland HQL, the training component, we go over basic fundamentals of handguns, safety, safe use and handling, and we also go over Maryland law. So that's an important component, because that will get you in trouble in this state than just about anything else.
I have a dumb question.
Yes.
So I took my kids in for, you're supposed to say there are no dumb questions.
There are no dumb questions. Well, there are some, but we'll answer all of them.
I'm the blonde in the group, so hear me out. So when I took my kids in for hunter safety years ago, because I was sitting in the class, they were like, well, you should also take this part of your handgun qualification part of that. I can do it during hunter safety. Yes. So what is that? Because I have that, but what does that mean?
So that's an excellent question. So I mentioned it with very few exceptions. There are a few exceptions that make you training exempt for a Maryland HQL. One of them is if you've taken a recent hunter safety course. Okay, so I'm not sure what the cutoff is. I think it's around 2006. Like anything after 2006, I have to look it up. If you've taken a hunter safety course after that time, then that would make you training exempt, which means all you'd have to do is get fingerprinted and do the online application with Maryland State Police.
Right. You still need the license.
Still need the license.
You don't have to do the 4-hour training.
Correct.
Okay. Right.
Now, if
you
have a DD-214, you're also training exempt. Now, if you're retired military, like 20 plus years, then you are HQL exempt, and you don't have to possess the license to purchase a handgun in Maryland. Right. It's very confusing, but I would say to people, we do our best at the Arsenal to help you understand that and explain it to our customers. But there is a little bit of due diligence required on the consumer's part, because you're not buying a pack of crackers. It's a firearm. So I would say you probably do a little research, ask a lot of questions, listen, all the information I'm sharing now is available on the Maryland State Police website. You can go there and read it all yourself. It's all public information. Okay. It's not just for dealers only. So
it's a lot easier to just call Mike, so you can do that.
That's right.
Yeah,
just
he
call
has
me.
nothing better to do.
That's
right. Sitting around waiting for your phone call.
No, he has plenty to do.
I wait by the phone.
He has a lot to do. There's a lot going on in there.
So, the Maryland HQL classes, we're also going to offer NRA Basic Pistol, which we have this scheduled this Saturday. So we have a few seats available if you're interested in that. And we're going to add the Maryland law component to that, so it meets the requirements again for the HQL. Now, what's the difference? Well, NRA Basic Pistol is an 8-hour class. So I always tell people this: if you don't have a lot of experience with handguns, or particularly if you're brand new to handguns or very limited experience, I would recommend the NRA Basic Pistol class, because it's much more in depth, it's much better information. In 4 hours, we just don't have enough time to go through everything. So the reason it's a 4-hour class is because that's the state mandates. But NRA Basic Pistol, we offer that. It's like $25 more than our HQL class, and you get a lot more for it. And we include the Maryland law discussion, so you exceed the training requirement for a Maryland HQL. So we're also going to offer, I talked about, practical skills that people should have if you're going to have a gun in the home for protection. Because let's face it, most people in Maryland aren't going to be eligible for a wear and carry permit. But if you have a gun in the home, there's some things that will be just as useful to know and to have, some skills to have. So we're going to be running some amateur pistol competitions starting here in a couple weeks. We're going to run 2 in the month of March. And what we'll do is we'll close the range about an hour early that day, and we'll run the matches for 2 hours. So we're going to close the range an hour early so people aren't getting out of there at 10 o'clock, right? Getting out there a little bit early. But you can come in. The only requirement is you have to have a centerfire handgun, okay? and a spare mag. You don't have to have a holster. We encourage you to have a holster because we're going to be drawing from the holster. If you don't have a holster, that's okay. We'll work around it. But we're going to set up barricades and shooting courses, and we're going to run these courses. You'll be shooting under a time constraint. You'll be doing reloads and things like that. Skills that you need to have if you're going to carry a gun for protection or have a gun for protection. I mean, I would say that, would you agree that if I'm going to have a gun in my house to protect my family, maybe I should learn how to use cover and concealment, maybe learn how to shoot strong hand.
And there was I saw a class also coming on the schedule that's for shooting in like low light conditions or something too. So that's also
working with Paul, our buddy Paul, the friend of the Arsenal.
Friend strong, I think, maybe.
Maybe a bit strong.
Yeah, associate.
Associate of the Arsenal. He's affiliated.
Yeah, affiliated. I like affiliated.
I mean, not like hang out on the weekends, friend, but wave at him across the street, friend.
Okay, all right, that's acceptable.
But he's going to be he's going to run the low light course. So this isn't, I'm really excited about this. I mean, if there's any room in the class, I'm going to take it because,
yeah, it seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, because you're shooting, so if you were to use a gun to defend yourself, when's that going to happen? In broad daylight? Probably not likely, possibly, but mostly under cover of darkness. So he's gonna do I think it's a 6 hour or 4 hour class.
Yeah, I think it's a 6 hour.
6 hour.
Gonna turn the lights out in the range, turn them down. That's gonna be pretty exciting.
So using night sights, using a flashlight, specifically using a flashlight to help, to protect yourself and to be effective. So that's gonna be a cool
shooting
class.
in low light hunting is frowned upon. So
oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well,
it's different. I mean, that's not the same. Well,
why
not
is
if
it frowned
you're
on?
hunting coyote or something that's like a predator of the night
like
that
foxes,
you can
right? Don't
use.
fox come out at night too?
Fox and coyote and raccoon are night owl. Predator hunting is okay with spotlights.
They're
and stuff.
nocturnal.
But deer, you're not allowed to shine deer or stuff like
I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where I feel like
that's called poaching.
Oh,
it's called poaching.
You can't hunt deer after. So you have, let's say sunset is 7 p.m. You have 30 minutes past legal sunset that you can hunt.
I'm sure they're all within that 30 minutes.
Yeah. Sure. Once it's 30 minutes, it's considered like night. You're not allowed.
Well, I'm offended because I hit a deer after dark one time with my vehicle.
Yeah, it seems like a total one-way street. It's a one-way street.
The deer don't know the rules.
They don't.
I mean, evidently. So.
Have you seen that where the lady called into the radio station and was all mad because there was a deer crossing in the highway, and she's like, "Why would they put a deer crossing in the middle of the highway?"
Right.
But it's kind of the same logic there.
Right. Yeah. Well, the deer, they don't not good at reading signs, evidently. So.
They're not good readers.
Yeah.
Will you guys have competitive shooting classes for those who want to learn? Asked by Mr. Charles.
So the competitive shooting class really is what we're offering is these competitive shooting matches. So these are very low key. They're not highly competitive. It's not guys fighting tooth and nail for every point and arguing about hits on the target. It's very low key. It's amateur. It's built for anybody, really.
I feel like you don't know us.
I was going to say, wait a second. You just said it's not guys arguing.
Yeah, I feel like
we have guys with guns. Testosterone multiplies.
Yeah.
Well, you'd be surprised
when you get them all together.
Well, and we have a lot of female shooters that come out for these matches, so that's what brings it back down to earth.
So we'll say adrenaline.
Because they don't want to beat. They don't want to beat the men at all. I'm sure that never happens.
No. Well, I mean,
I would never.
If you shoot USPSA or you shoot IDPA or some of these highly competitive 3-gun. Right. I mean, it's very competitive. I mean, there's a lot of hurt feelings. I mean, there's a lot of guys arguing this and that, and this is not what that is. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, it's probably not for you, right? So that's all I'm saying.
So it's a lot low key compared to that. Okay.
You're only really competing against yourself. We do it under a time constraint because that's how you can mark your improvement, right?
Okay.
And we'll upload the times to practice score and the scores so you can track your progress, but you're really competing against yourself.
I'm competing against you. Just
okay, well, that's fine.
I always know.
Right.
All right. Okay. Good. All right.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Charles.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So a couple other classes on the calendar. We're NRA basic pistol. We covered that. Low light pistol shooting. Maryland HQL. We're also going to run an instructor course here towards the end of March. So, I'm an NRA training counselor. So if you've thought about becoming an NRA pistol instructor, we're going to be offering that class. We can help you with that. And a lot of folks in the state of Maryland, so, this kind of dovetails with Maryland Wear and Carry, which is Maryland's name for their concealed carry permit. In Maryland, you can get a carry permit if you have what's considered a good and substantial reason. And that typically means you're a business owner. You make bank deposits on behalf of your business. Outside of that, you'd have to have documented threats against your person. There are some other narrow things, where you might fit into this one specific category.
Security clearances, that sort of thing.
Security clearances. If you're a member of a church security team, you can get a permit. Now, it'll be restricted. It won't be like being a business owner. But if you're a business owner and you make bank deposits on behalf of your company, you deal in cash or check, you can get an unrestricted permit, which means you can carry any place in the state 24/7 where it's not prohibited. So it's a really good permit. It's a really good thing to have.
So how do you know if it's an area? I mean, I'm sure this is something you learn in your class, but I'm just curious. Like, how do you know it's an area where it's prohibited to carry?
We go over
firearm?
all that. So,
Okay.
so just to give you a few little tips here, so you cannot carry in a state park in Maryland. Okay, so that might seem counterintuitive because you think, oh, I'm hiking on a trail in a state park. Maybe I want to have a handgun for animals or whatever. Or we're two-legged predators. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah,
exactly.
you can't carry, even with the permit, you can't carry in a state park. You can't have a gun in highway rest areas. So that's kind of counterintuitive as well. So if you're traveling with your firearm,
You can
in
have it
Maryland,
locked up in the back, but you can't have
you can't have a
on
gun in a rest area. Period. End of story.
in your car.
You can't have it in there. Yeah, you just can't have it. So that's just don't stop at a rest area, I suppose.
Pee
Use
on
the
the side of
restroom
the road.
at McDonald's. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd recommend that, but
To each his own.
That's what I'm here for. I'm sorry.
But so a Maryland wear and carry. Once you've established your good and substantial reason, we always have a conversation with customers so they have a reasonable expectation of whether they get the permit or not. And then it's 16 hours of training, fingerprints, and application to the Maryland State Police. Okay, so there is a way to become training exempt for the Maryland wear and carry. If you're an NRA pistol instructor and you also get your Maryland State Police certification to be an instructor, then you are training exempt.
Okay.
Training exempt for the wear and carry. So that's kind of a cool little notion because once you do the training in Maryland, you do your 16 hours, you're approved, you get a permit that's good for 2 years. When you go back for renewal, you have to get 8 hours of additional training to renew.
Wow.
And then your permit's good for 3 years. So every 3 years after that, you're going to have to pay for 8 hours of training. But if you're an instructor, you're training exempt. So a lot of folks in Maryland will become instructors
So they don't have to.
so they can be training exempt for the class. Now, I don't know.
Like, how many classes do you have to teach to be considered an instructor?
An NRA
One?
requirement doesn't require you to teach any.
Right.
So you just get
become
the
this-
credential
Okay.
and you pay your credentialing fees and you're good to go.
We have another question. Jeff Snowden says, for practice in these matches, you mentioned centerfire pistols. Any chance we can use a 22 conversion kit? 9mm is stupid expensive.
Yeah. I think we're probably gonna allow that. Yeah, that's a great question. So the original flyer that Ron made up, I think he mentioned centerfire. I think we allowed rimfire before. I think we're gonna allow rimfire just because of the ammo. So I think that'll be fine. If he shows up with a rimfire, I'm not gonna turn him away. As long as he's got money. If he's got money, he can shoot.
Seems fair.
Come on down.
Little crass. Little
You
crass.
are the next contestant on Maryland Arsenal.
That's right.
All right. Thank you for your question, Jeff. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to have random questions like that, because I know every time I listen to you guys talk about stuff, I'm like, what? Okay, what does that mean? How does this work? So, where, other than the Maryland State Police and also messaging you directly, where would you suggest, they find, I guess, any other information? Like if they have questions about like getting hunter safety classes, that's obvious. You go to the DNR website. Are we
Sure.
going to have resources like that available, like the Maryland State website? We can probably post a link to that on Facebook.
We could post some links to that. Yeah,
Put it on our-
and if people, I email those links
Maybe
out
we
to
should make
people
like
all
a
the time.
resources a page on our website that's
Yeah, we
like
can do that.
resources where we can just
Yeah,
put
that's
links
probably a
out.
good idea.
That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a
'Cause
great
then
idea.
Bring people there, and then rather than having you have to go Google all this stuff, we can just start putting those in as resources.
Yeah, and I don't mind explaining it to people. I've explained it a million times. I don't mind because sometimes you go and read that stuff and it's like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I have to
you know.
read stuff like that 3 or 4
Yeah,
times
so
to
I-
retain it a lot of
yeah.
times. But, Jeff Snowden said money, question mark. What's money?
Right. Well, the other thing people can do as well is that our range is really cool because when you walk into the arsenal, you have that glass there. You can see people shooting. You can watch them shoot. So, and just for everyone's sanity, it's level 3 ballistic glass, so we're pretty good. Okay,
right.
you're
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
But there are some folks that'll come in that aren't really interested in shooting the match right away. They want to see what's going on first. So it gives them an opportunity to watch.
Yeah.
They're more than welcome to come in and spectate, absolutely. And so they kind of maybe come in and see what it's all about, realize it's pretty cool, and then they can shoot the next one.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're probably going to offer those matches twice a month.
And we're still giving tours of the facility right
Absolutely.
now, too. So
Yep.
if you
Yep.
just want to come and check it out, come by. Mike will give you a tour, or somebody
Right.
else. You got lots of guys over there now, right?
Mike's happy to do it. He likes doing it. So
You
ask for
can
him
see the tour
specifically.
guide.
Ask for me specifically, that's right. If I'm not busy, I'll be happy to do
Yeah.
it. No problem.
All right. What
So-
else do we have?
Well, and I get the question. I get a question probably every week because the gun laws in Maryland are so complex and confusing. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure. There are probably a lot of law enforcement guys in Maryland that are confused about the laws too. And that's not necessarily it's not a knock on them because they didn't write this nonsense. But people ask me, so they hear about the Maryland HQL and they want to know, do I have to have an HQL to shoot in the range? And the answer is absolutely not.
Right.
You only need the Maryland handgun qualification license if you're a Maryland resident and you want to purchase a handgun. That is it, end of story. Right. So you don't have to possess anything like that to come and shoot. I had a guy yesterday, we sold him a shotgun. He's a great customer. He bought just a regular Mossberg hunting shotgun. He says, so I'm good for 6 months. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I can't buy another long gun for 6 months, right? I said, no, you could buy every long gun in the store right now. There's no limits on that in Maryland. So now handguns under Maryland state law, you can buy one handgun every 30 days or two every 60. Unless you're a collector, okay? So you can, once you purchase your first handgun in Maryland, you can go to the Maryland State Police website, download a letter, fill it out, get it notarized, and mail it in, and they'll send you a notification or a letter back that says you're now a designated collector, and then you can purchase as many handguns as you want with no time constraint.
Wow.
So you can buy 20 a month if you want to. So, it doesn't cost anything to do that. I'm gonna print some of those out and have them in the store for people.
It's another link we can put on our resources
Right,
page.
there you go, resources.
And so what about concealed carry, wear and carry people? Is there the restrictions still for them as well for the handgun restraint?
Yeah, so
Right, so
yeah, it's an
people need to
excellent
know that.
question actually. If you have a Maryland wear and carry permit, you're still subject to 1 every 30 or 2 every 60 unless you're a collector. So I just tell people, just go ahead and buy a handgun. Once you have your first one registered in your name in the state of Maryland, go ahead and apply for that letter. It doesn't cost you anything, And when you do your 77R in Maryland, which is the form you fill out to buy a handgun, you just check a box. Are you a collector, yes or no? I mean, I think Maryland State Police has asked us to ask for a copy of the letter. We're not required to do it, so I don't do it because it's just more paperwork. But, I mean, obviously you're not going to lie on the form if you don't have it because they're going to know right away, right?
100%.
Exactly. So, and I've heard people say, well, I don't want to do that because that puts you on another list. Well, I'm like, well, you're in Maryland.
Right.
You've already made the list, pal.
Right, you're right, you're on the list.
So you just made the list.
So Mike, talk about the out-of-state people. So we were very close to Virginia, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. Those people bringing their firearms from those states to here. Can you talk to them about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Maryland, the rules for transporting a firearm are pretty simple. Gun unloaded in a case or holster with the ammunition separate. Must not be within arm's reach. So if you meet that criteria, you can legally transport a gun to the arsenal to shoot. It doesn't matter if you're coming across state lines. Now, when I say cased or holstered, I would say cased. The law says case or holster. I would stay away from the holster unless you've got a carry permit in Maryland. But case would typically mean latched or zipped shut. And plus, that's the requirement we have for bringing guns into the arsenal. You got to have that gun in a case, zipped or latched shut. I really don't like to see guns in cardboard boxes, right? And you don't want to take a gun out of the arsenal in your hand or not in a case or holster or zipped or latched shut in a case because you're just going to attract some attention that you probably don't want or need. So.
Right. And unloaded. When you come to the arsenal,
Right.
make sure your gun is unloaded. Your magazines can be loaded, but
Absolutely.
your firearm should be unloaded.
Yeah, people get that wrong all the time too.
Right.
Well, you can't travel with loaded magazines. That's absolutely not true.
Right.
Yeah, you absolutely can. So I don't have any problem with people bringing loaded mags into the range. That's fine, but you want to have your gun unloaded in a case, zipped or latched shut.
Right. Just don't bring loaded clips. I don't like that.
Yeah, we don't need loaded clips.
Loaded
Loaded
clips.
magazines will accept.
Only
loaded clips.
only loaded
Yeah.
magazines, right?
If you don't know the difference, we can help you with that. So.
Tripping on those clips. What's wrong? You don't like the clip culture?
No, we're not.
No, it's not. It's just not a clip. It's
not
a
a clip, it's a
magazine.
It's not the right word.
Right. It's
And
not.
it might be a little nitpicky, but words do have meaning, folks. Right?
No,
Words do
it's
have
true.
meaning. So.
So what are, other than classes going on that are on the schedule right now, are you taking like requests for people to do private lessons or anything like that?
Yeah, we do actually offer private training. So
We've had a couple people come in.
We've had a
for
couple
that.
people. We've already done some private stuff. And so how we approach our private training is that we don't have any cookie cutter stuff for people like, oh, you sign up for this private training and we're going to do this. I basically we'll just sit down with you and have a brief interview and ask a few questions like, what are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to accomplish? And, some folks just want to come in. I just want to be safe with a handgun. I want somebody to work with me one-on-one to develop better shooting skills, better accuracy. There's some people that want to learn to draw from a holster. I had a couple folks in last week that just want to know how to clean their guns. So we actually are offering a handgun cleaning class on, I think it's Tuesday.
Yep.
So that'll be a 1 hour long. Bring your handgun dirty. bring your instruction manual, right? Because I don't know if I've taken apart every single gun on the face of the earth yet, or field stripped it. But we have some cleaning supplies there, and we'll go through that. So, I mean, I tell people all the time, if you're going to have a gun for protection, then I would say that gun needs to be clean. Right?
Yes.
Because you don't want it to fail at the moment of truth. So keeping it clean, lubricated will help eliminate that possibility. So.
And if somebody's not comfortable doing that, maybe they have like like right now I have this really, really old double barrel shotgun that I got from my grandfather. I wouldn't even know the first thing about doing anything with it, but I would love to have it restored or cleaned. Like, I know you guys have a gunsmith there. I saw a post we did with like, I don't know
stippling.
So what was that? Some people were asking questions about
Ben,
that.
Ben is our gunsmith. He's pretty great. He can help repair, fix any kind of issues that you guys have, but he also does some customization work as well. So stippling is one of those things that people really love to have on their gun. It makes it stand out from other guns, and it also enhances your grip. So there's different types of stippling, different sizes, different things, and Ben can do a lot of different things. So he and I think we're gonna do some videos with like him and have him showing some people and talking about it a little bit. So, but
I think it's really, if you can't buy a gun, if you want to buy a new gun, you can't find a gun, guns aren't available, then you can customize what you have, which makes it, it's really pretty cool. So stippling, I mean, if you've ever handled a stipple gun, it does really it does really improve your grip on the gun. It can really give you better purchase when you're holding that gun. So I think that's terrific. I mean, he stippled a couple the other day, and it's like, it's just almost felt like a different gun.
Yeah.
So, listen, lots of times when people are shooting, especially when they're brand new, they get a little sweaty, a little nervous or whatever.
A little nervous.
But you change the texture on that firearm a little bit, and it can make a world of difference. I had a gentleman in yesterday that was having a little trouble with stovepiping. So that's your grip, right? You could stipple that gun and get a better grip.
Yep.
And if you're still continuing to struggle with your grip, you can't. It's a small gun. It's a Glock 42, right? So, stippling on that might make a world of difference.
Yes.
So is stippling just a term that you use for like re-gripping or
so it's
added
basically,
gripping?
The old soldering irons. It's kind of the same type of tool. So you're actually burning the pattern into the grip of the polymer gun. So, I mean, it's permanent, right? It doesn't wear off. It's not like grip tape or any kind of somebody asked us on Facebook, it looks like Velcro.
It did look like Velcro.
Yeah,
But it doesn't come off, it doesn't peel off. It's there. It's not going to wear off. I mean, you'd have to break the gun somehow. But
That's really cool then.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It really dramatically, they can do undercuts on the trigger guards to give you a better grip. So it's amazing how much you can modify a factory gun to really be customized.
What's some of the other stuff that Ben is offering or is good at? Or
so he's just doing basic repair work on firearms, any kind of issues. He's been doing a lot of things for customers. There's been a lot of old antique guns that people have come in that haven't shot for a long time, and he's been coming in and really getting that stuff working again, which is really great. And seeing those people who either said something like you said, like an heirloom that was passed down to them, or just something that they purchased that is an antique gun that they really liked or they've always wanted, for him to be able to take those and fix them. It's been really good. So
I have a question, and I hope I'm not getting myself in trouble, but that gun, the same gun, like I just got it when my grandfather passed away. I don't have paperwork for it. There's no.
Is it a long gun?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's okay.
Yeah, it's not regulated. I mean, not yet. I mean, they're going to start regulating those transfers here real soon. They just passed a law in the state legislature. I think they overrode a veto to get it on the books. But so at this right now, currently today, Maryland doesn't regulate the sale or transfer of long guns. The only thing they regulate are what's banned guns, assault weapons, right? The scary ones, the ones that are really nasty, right? The ones that hurt people by themselves.
right.
But like hunting guns, hunting shotguns, hunting rifles, things like that aren't regulated. So you're fine with that. If it was a handgun, it'd be a different story.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know if it was a handgun, I would have had to
notify the authorities or something.
Right. But and kind of in that same line of questions, like, so if you're not sure about, is that another thing you guys will help people with? If they
most definitely.
like get something, you can help them get through that process of getting it registered and transfer of ownership.
Most
and stuff
definitely.
Like that.
If they are having questions, if you have an antique handgun, and we do have people come in all the time to ask, hey, I got this firearm, or I have this person that wants to give me this firearm. How does that work? What do I need to do? And we can help them through that process, because a lot of it's gonna depend on where they live, where the other person lives, what their relation to that person is, and there's some variables there that need to be taken into consideration before they just
It's kind of like a car. Like somebody has to have the title, and ownership has to be kind of on a certain level. Yeah.
Well, I just got a question from a friend of mine, Kathy. So Maryland has an assault weapons ban that took effect in 2013, and what they did was they used the Clinton gun list. They used that same list of guns and banned. So she's asking a question. Now she's not a Maryland resident, but she's asking a question about a Bushmaster AR-15. Is it legal in Maryland? And she's described it as having a heavy barrel. Well, Bushmaster's banned by name in the state of Maryland, so unfortunately it doesn't matter what the barrel configuration is. And I can give you in a nutshell what makes a gun banned in Maryland. I don't have an explanation why. I can explain it to you the same way Maryland State Police explained it to me. If the barrel has, first of all, you can't have the cutout for the grenade launcher, because we can't have people running around with grenade launchers, right? I mean, that would be terrible. I mean, I've got 30 or 40 of them in my back pocket.
Sounds kind of fun, but...
Right, but you can't have the cutout for the grenade launcher, because evidently that's a huge problem in Maryland.
Okay.
And the barrel has to be a heavy barrel. So Maryland State Police came out one time and said the definition of a heavy barrel would be between the receiver and the gas block, the barrel does not taper down. It's the same diameter, okay? So that's kind of your generic cookie cutter definition of an H-bar, make it a Maryland compliant gun, but it goes a little deeper than that, because I had two Ruger AR-15s in the shop at one point years ago, and one was a banned gun. It was listed on the banned list, and the other model, the same Ruger AR-15, was listed as was not banned. Okay, so I took the handguards off. They didn't have the cutouts for the grenade launcher. I took the handguards off, and the barrels were the same diameter. It was the exact same barrel on both guns. Okay, the only difference was the manufacturer part numbers were different for each gun. But on this gun that was banned, on the manufacturer's website, it was listed as having a medium contour barrel, which is not a heavy barrel. On the manufacturer's website, Ruger.com, this Ruger AR-15 was listed as having a heavy profile barrel, so that one was legal. That's the only difference I could find. So it's almost now looking like if it has to meet these physical characteristics, right? It has to have these physical characteristics, and also the manufacturer has to say it's a heavy barrel. Right? And people will say, well, it has to be stamped heavy barrel. I've seen a million AR-15s that were legal in Maryland, and I don't think any of them had H-bar stamped on the barrel.
I've never seen that.
I mean, unless Maryland State Police is waiting outside the studio here to cart me away, I think we're all good. I think that's how I understand it, right? So they do have a list on the Maryland State Police website. They have a list of banned guns.
Okay.
So you can go there. It's public information. Just type in a Maryland assault weapons ban or Maryland banned guns list, and you can find that list.
Right.
And now the problem is if your gun, this gun I want to buy isn't on the list. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not. It's legal, right? So don't call the shop and ask me, hey, Mike, is this AR legal? I'm not going to tell you, because I have no idea what you're looking at.
Right.
And what you're going to do is you're not going to buy that one. You're going to change your mind and buy a different one.
Yep.
And that one's not legal. So don't ask me. I'm going to tell you. I got to see it. I got to have it in my hands before I make a determination. Right. So.
I did see a post we put up on Facebook about a bill that is potentially going to be going through office. It was like yesterday you posted something, I think.
Oh, what one was that? That was
HR 120.
Is it 127?
127, I think. It's HR 127.
Yeah, I was just curious if you want to speak on that, because I know I was like, okay, what does that mean if that passes?
Well,
how's that going to affect people that already own guns?
Yes. So I think that was the one I talked about. That was in Maryland. That was a proposed bill in Maryland. It wasn't on the federal level, but these legislators have these ideas on how to make things safe, or what they think will make the streets safer. And really, if you just look at it from a logical standpoint, most of these things don't hold water. I mean, I understand that people have strong feelings about AR-15s, and when we allow people to refer to them as assault weapons, we're losing part of the battle right there. But if let's say you don't like that gun and you want to ban it, what does that mean? So here's what happened in Maryland. They said, okay, we're going to ban AR-15s. So the question is, are you talking about the Armalite rifle, the original AR-15? Are you talking about the Colt AR-15? Because Colt bought the rights from Armalite. Armalite wasn't in business at the time. So what do we mean the Colt AR-15? Okay, so the Colt AR-15 is banned. What about the Wyndham Weaponry WW15?
Right.
Well, if that one's banned too, if it has the same features, okay, so what features so they start describing cosmetic features. And so that's where you get into trouble, because now you're banning a firearm not based on lethality,
Right.
not based on rate of fire, not based on the power of the cartridge or anything. You're basing it on cosmetic
looks like.
features, right?
Right.
So if you go, you look at the whole list of banned AR-15s in the state of Maryland, and then look at a Mini 14, right?
Right.
Mini 14, Ruger Mini 14 shoots the same ammunition, shoots the same cartridge, is available in a very similar configuration, but that one's legal because it doesn't have the same cosmetic features as an AR-15. So, I mean, it just goes down this rabbit hole of nonsense, and eventually nobody understands what we're even talking about.
Right.
That's where we're at. So there are a number of AR-15s that are legal in the state of Maryland, just not as many as are available like in the great state of West Virginia. So.
I saw also that we're doing Red Cross first aid CPR classes.
Yep, Mr. Dudley's going to teach that one. He can talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
I am. So I'm a Red Cross certified instructor. So we are going to have, our whole thing about training, education, safety is not only being able to properly use and deploy a handgun, but also to make sure that if the need should arise, that you'll be able to render first aid and help somebody in need if something happens, if God forbid an accident happens or something to that nature. So we're going to be offering first aid, CPR, and AED training. It is the Red Cross certification. So if you need a Red Cross certification for your job or for whatever you would just like to get recertified, then you can do that. The only caveat is, I cannot teach the medical one. The ones the nurses need, I can't teach that one.
Okay.
So, but everybody else is good.
But this
to
would
go.
be good for kids even, right?
Yeah, so
Anybody.
there's good.
Yeah.
I think so. I can teach the adult and the kid version of first aid CPR and AD. So I'm not sure if we did. I think we're just doing the adult one this time, but we'll see. We can do the adult and child one next time.
Well, I mean, if you're going to train to use a firearm, you should probably know how to patch people up,
100%.
right? So, I mean, not because the likelihood that you ever have to use a handgun to defend yourself or protect your family is somewhere between slim and none. I mean, the chances are very slim, especially
hopefully.
if you're
We hope.
smart, right?
Yes, we
but
hope.
you could have somebody. You're much more likely to encounter somebody that's in medical distress,
Yes.
or somebody's injured. So those skills would be useful to have, right?
I learned CPR when I was in Girl Scouts in elementary school, and I did use it. We came upon this car accident, and this lady was not
Oh, yeah.
breathing,
See?
and I kept her going till the ambulance got there.
That's great.
Yeah,
Right, that's
And
awesome.
I won
Yeah.
this award from the state police and whatever, and I was 6th grade, I think.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about kids, because I think it's something that everyone should know how to do CPR. I mean, especially or the Heimlich. I mean, those are really basic things you can do that can save somebody at any moment.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah.
So it's good. Good for you.
So
Just getting
that'll
it
be
out
good
there in the
work.
community, just
Thanks.
all around.
Appreciate it.
Cool. Well, we've got a few people watching still right now. I'd love to get questions from anybody. If you guys have any questions, we got about 15 minutes left here. I think that we do have other stuff going on in the next few weeks other than classes at the Arsenal. What else do we have going on over there?
Well, let me just go over. I want to go over again briefly the range fee structure. So
sure.
people ask that
That's a
all the
good
time.
idea.
So, we don't charge hourly fees or monthly fees at the Arsenal. I think some people get, do I have to have a membership? Well, yeah, you have to have a membership, but the membership's just a way for us to track who has done the safety orientation and who has, done the liability waiver. So fill out the paperwork. So we base it on how often you think you're going to shoot. So if you're going to shoot once a month or more, we would consider that that's a frequent shooter. So the cheapest, most economical way to do it is you pay. Right now it's $300.
Right.
$300 for an individual. You can shoot for the entire
going up,
year.
though.
Every day we're open. So we're open 7 days a week. No additional range fees. If you're going to shoot less than once a month,
and that's how much for the 1 year? range
300 for an
membership?
individual.
I'm putting it in the comments. So
Okay.
that,
300 for an individual. That's the introductory pricing. That's going to go up here in the future. So we'll probably run that special here for the next little while.
Yep.
And then it's going to go up to 325, which is still a great deal. So 300 for a year. You can shoot every day we're open. It's unlimited. If you shoot less than once a month, a lot of people choose the pay-as-you-go plan, we call it, which $25 your first time.
Right.
Each time after that, you can pay $20 for a lane, or you can share a lane for $10. And then we also have a nice little 3-day pass that we offer for people who are just traveling or in town for the weekend. They want to shoot. You can pay $50 and shoot for any 3 consecutive days as much as you want. Now, range fees don't include gun rentals. We don't have any gun rentals right yet. We're working on that.
Yep.
Don't include targets or ammunition, obviously, Eye and Ear Pro. You know, at one point we had talked about doing an Eye and Ear Pro rental program in case you show up, but we can't do it because of COVID. We just can't do that. So there's not really a good process to sanitize those and keep everybody safe. So if you have to bring your own Eye and Ear Pro, we carry some very inexpensive Eye and Ear Pro at the shop if you don't have some. So, you know, we don't make you buy stuff, but you can bring your own. We have it there available. Unfortunately, we cannot rent it or loan it. And the nice thing too is that when you rent a lane at the Arsenal, it's unlimited. You can shoot for as long as you want. Okay. Now that's within reason, obviously. If we're busy on a Saturday or Sunday or Friday or whatever, and people are waiting to use the range, we're going to limit time just to try to be fair to everybody because it's 7 lanes. Okay. But you know, if you want to wait in line and go shoot again, you can do that again. It's just like riding the ride at Hershey Park. So, right?
And you do offer, we were talking about this being an entertainment value, you know, for the whole family or for couples. So you do have membership options for couples too.
Yep.
So what is the membership?
$450 for a couple, unlimited shooting for a whole year. We also offer a family pass. Is $500 for up to 4 people. Okay. Now, what a lot of folks will do is that typically, you know, Dudley and I have talked about this many times, but if you take a man and a woman and they're both starting at the same level, the women will almost always outshoot the men. But men tend to practice more. So you might have a man, husband that wants to shoot, you know, once or twice a month, so he can do the 1-year pass, and then his wife's going to shoot just a few times a year. She can do the pay-as-you-go. So that way it's more economical for everybody. So bring your own guns, bring your own ammunition, bring your own targets. We don't make you buy stuff at the Arsenal. You know, we don't have any restrictions on steel case ammunition or aluminum case ammunition because, I mean, it's so hard to get.
Right.
Just shoot what you have.
Right.
So now we don't allow any crazy stuff in there like, you know, armor piercing or incendiary explosive. You know, we don't allow any of that crazy stuff. But if you have that ammunition, I'd like to talk to you.
Right.
Joel Jordan I had a comment, legislators use smoke and mirrors to confuse the uneducated. 95% of people believe AR is short for assault rifle.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Programs like this can educate people on the correct terminology. So
It doesn't stand for assault rifle?
I mean, you're the boss here. You tell me.
It stands for Armalite Rifle.
Armalite.
Armalite Rifle. That was the original company.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
They demoed that gun at Fairchild in Hagerstown. You believe that?
Oh, really?
Yep.
What?
Absolutely. Yep.
Cindy asked, do we have family memberships? We just answered that. Yes, we do have family memberships.
Yep,
We set up
absolutely.
to 4 people. It's $500 for the year.
Right.
Yep.
Couples are $450.
Yep.
Right,
So there
correct.
you go.
And we allow children age 13 and up to use the range. 13 to 17 has to have a parent or guardian with them.
Okay.
Okay.
And they can share one gun. Like if they're all coming in, they can take
Yeah,
turns
yeah, they can
together
take
or
turns on
whatever.
the same
There's
gun.
no
Absolutely.
limitations.
Only
on
2 people
stuff.
on the range at a time.
2 people per lane.
In
Yeah.
each
2 per lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the sign-up process is really painless. I mean, you come in, you fill out the paperwork, you watch the 8-minute safety video, and you're good to go. So it's about 10 minutes to sign up. So, you know.
The video was actually 8 minutes and 47 seconds. Somebody corrected me the other day.
Right. Oh, is that right?
You said it was 8 minutes. It was 8:47.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Well, and I get
8:47.
I get a lot of people, usually guys. Do
Yeah.
I have to watch the safety video? I'm like, yeah. And if you give me grief about it, I'm gonna make you watch it a second time. All right,
Yeah.
it's 8 minutes.
Well,
It's 8 minutes.
our good friend Bashan is asking, where can people buy those incredible sweatshirts?
Okay, and so I was gonna get to the sweatshirts, right? So people have been harassing us about sweatshirts. So we now have sweatshirts in stock. They're at the store. I put them up on Facebook or Google, but they're gonna be on all platforms. So you're gonna be able to buy them. I'm not sure how we're gonna do the mail stuff, but if you come to the store, you can definitely buy them. We have red, black, gray sweatshirts. We have polo shirts. We have T-shirts. Red,
That's a new
black,
style
gray,
hat,
white.
too.
We have new stuff. Oh yeah. Oh yes, please. Then we have new hats. I got a lot of pushback on the hats as well. We have the trucker hats or the what is it?
Snapbacks.
Snapbacks, trucker hats, flex fit.
You're welcome, Hagerstown.
Yes. What is it? The not flat bill hats. That's your boy Paul.
Actual baseball cap.
Yeah, we don't want no flat bill hats. That's
Yep.
what I was told. So,
I
so we
mean-
have not flat bill hats for you guys. So
Yeah, and I mean, we do have flat bills too.
We
still
do.
have the ones. A lot of people like those. I'm not saying.
If you're cool, then you like the flat bills, and we have those for you as well.
I mean, I don't mind the flat bill. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm going hunting, I don't want to wear a flat bill hat. I want like something I can put my ponytail through.
The deer's not like flat bill hats.
They don't like them at all.
Okay, well, that makes sense then. That's a valid reason. I can respect that.
Right.
The deers don't like them.
At least we're honest.
Right.
It's not deers. It's just deer.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, deer. The deer.
Yeah.
Don't like them.
So
Like
let
geeses.
So it is the legislators are in session in Maryland, so it's all important that we all kind of follow what's going on and keep track of what these jokers are doing down there. But let me just talk a little bit about something that Maryland had years ago, and they don't have it anymore. But they had a fired shell casing law. Okay, so what that meant was this is Paris Glendenning's brainchild. It cost the taxpayers a few $1 million. I mean, it's only a few $1 million, right? Whatever, right? So a few $1 million, but what they did, they set up this whole program, they built a facility and everything, and what they required handgun purchasers in the state of Maryland to do is provide a fired shell casing. The dealers had to provide a fired shell casing with every single 77-hour application. So whenever you up until just a few years ago, whenever you purchased a handgun in the state of Maryland, there was a fired shell casing in that box, or the dealer had to get a fired shell casing for it at their own expense and turn that in with your paperwork. And what they would do is they would file those, okay? And the idea was to use the ballistic fingerprint in criminal pursuits. They find a guy used a gun in a crime, they found a spent shell casing, they can match that up with a gun, and it never worked, not even one time. It didn't result in a single conviction. It was used in court like once or twice to no success at all. It cost the taxpayers millions of dollars. And what happened was when Hogan got elected, he catches a lot of grief in the gun community, and rightfully so. But the alternative would have been a lot worse. I will say that. But he basically talks. Maryland was when he took office. Maryland was in financial trouble. So they started cutting back on some of these programs, and so he forced the Democrats into a situation where they had to choose between their pet projects, and they defunded the fired shell casing program. That's how it started. So
you're talking about how they match up like the rifling and the ballistics and stuff.
No, the shell
marks
casing.
On the
There's no rifling on the shell
Right,
casing.
No, but the rifling on the gun is what makes the lines on the
bullet.
On the bullet, yeah.
Right.
But on the shell casing, what they were trying to match up is the primer strike.
Right.
I mean, it makes me laugh because I could shoot a handgun 20 times and replace the firing pin, and then the next 20 shots are going to be different, right?
Yeah.
So, and firing pins aren't guns; they're just parts. You can buy them online. You could probably make one, right? Yeah. But they defunded the program at one point, and so they weren't filing the shell casings. They were still requiring people to send them in. They were just throwing them in these 55-gallon drums. So, and eventually they just got rid of it entirely. And it's interesting because I talked to a friend of mine up in New York, and New York had the same law. And years before Maryland got rid of theirs, he said, Mike, you're going to have to fight it on the financial side. You're going to have to just convince them it's a waste of money. And that's eventually what happened. Yeah. So, I mean, this is the kind of, you have a collection of people in Annapolis that are regulating things they don't understand. And I would say that if you're going to restrict people's rights, that maybe you should have a basic understanding of how these things work. And they don't. And so that's why we come up with this crazy stuff like we're going to use ballistic fingerprinting because they must watch a lot of LA Law or what.
I was going to say that sounds like the stuff I see on
CSI
TV.
or whatever it is. I mean, I don't watch TV, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
Maybe we can invite them to some of our training classes.
I tell you what,
that'd be a great idea.
Open invitation, standing invitation on my dime. Come and shoot. And
it'd be interesting to have a couple of them on the podcast. Even.
Well, at one point years ago,
politics.
I don't know if Mike can handle that.
Can talk politics, man.
I
That's what
I don't. That would be a good idea.
Got one question, sorry. Any camouflage sweatshirts?
Don't have any camo, do we? We have some camo hats.
We have camo hats, but no camo sweatshirts. I will look into that. I will look into the
Give
camo.
the people what they want.
I will look into. Who asked that
I would
question?
love a camo.
Yes, I know.
Joel Jordan is
Joel,
watching.
yeah. All right,
Paul Adams is the one actually that wanted the camouflage sweatshirt. I am with Paul on this. I would love to get camouflage anything.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. There's 50 million camo patterns, and I guarantee you what I get will not be what you want.
Well, I think anything is better than nothing. I mean, If you want, I can help you pick out like a real tree.
Real tree
A
is-
real basic real tree is what a lot of people like, especially in this area and the
And I-
hardwoods that we have.
We got a gun in the other day. It's called Gator Camo. I really am in love with Gator. I don't know
Yeah,
what I've
Gator
never seen
camo.
before. I love Gator Camo.
I like even the
savage.
cryptic camos, like the digital
Cryptic's
camo
nice.
patterns
those
are cool
those
and
are
all
horrible.
that. Yeah.
Those are horrible. I don't
They're
like
horrible?
those. Horrible.
Wow.
I don't like those.
Like wearing a flat bill.
No, one flat bill is cool.
Okay.
Definitely.
And what were you saying, Mike?
About. Well, I was just saying that, at one point, when under previous ownership, I had sent out email invitations to probably 100 different legislatures in the state of Maryland, inviting them up to come and shoot. And all that did was put me on their email list, right? That's all that did. Like none of them, not a single one came, and they all just signed me up for their email list and sent me their garbage, like,
That
hey,
was nice of them.
So anyway, so it's, I don't know. Listen, our local legislators in Washington County, we've worked with a lot of those guys.
Oh,
I
those
think those
guys,
guys are
they've
good
been-
guys.
they've been great.
Good gals, good guys. I mean, they've been supportive.
Yes.
And I understand those folks are busy. And honestly, the legislators we put in office in the western part of Maryland aren't the problem as far as guns go. The people who are the problem are, PG County, Baltimore County, Montgomery County, all those places down there, and those folks, you're never going to get them to travel to Hagerstown to shoot a gun. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody may take a picture of it or
Especially
something.
if they think they're trying to be taught something they don't want to learn.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's
That's the big problem.
And Dudley and I have talked about this many times. Like, I try not to get to arguments with people on social media because I just don't have time for it. But every discussion or argument I've had with somebody on social media about guns, I mean, I spend 90% of the argument just educating them because they're just arguing from a point of ignorance, And listen, that's not necessarily a knock because we're all ignorant of some things, right? But I just think that if you're going to talk with authority on the issue, especially when you're talking about infringing on someone's rights, I think you just need to be a little more educated because I'm telling you, a lot of these folks in the media are obviously 1A proponents, right? Because they're exercising their freedom of speech. If they had to go through the same process to exercise that right as I do to exercise my Second Amendment right in this state, things would change.
Agreed.
Can you imagine having to have a license to write an article?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Having
it's
to wait
interesting
7
though,
days?
like how those two things are kind of being correlated and both being abused also right now. Like on social media, you're getting people that are speaking out using their First Amendment to use their freedom of speech to talk about their
Right.
2A rights, and they're being filtered. Like the 1A, it's it's all around infringement. We're in a place where we
yeah.
have to have a voice. You have
Yeah,
to have
there's-
an educated perspective, and ask questions. That's what I'm here to learn because I'm a hunter. I'm an outdoors person, but I mostly hunt with archery stuff. This is a lot of education for me. Just learning about the different classes you guys are offering, all the different levels of qualifications you can go through in safety training, and I mean, there's so much to learn about before you really start having a strong opinion.
Right.
You really do need to take the time, step back, understand the law because it's ever changing, So I think it's good that we're offering this as an opportunity for people to ask questions, get engaged, learn about what's going on in the community for one thing, but not just in Maryland, nationwide, we have changes happening all the time. So.
Yeah, and I think that, especially in Maryland, where everything's so heavily regulated with regard to guns, I mean, you just need to be educated and understand, so what does it mean to use a gun to protect my family or myself in the state of Maryland? What are the rules and guidelines? I mean, those are important things that you should probably know, right?
Yes.
So,
Sure.
and I tell people all the time, like, I'll have folks come in and say, well, this is the Maryland HQL process. It's a 4-hour class. Did you serve in the military? Yes. Okay, you have a DD-214? Yes, I do. Okay, you're training exempt, so you're not required to take the class, but I'll recommend you take it.
Probably,
Because you probably don't know what all the laws and rules are, right? And that's what will protect you in this state, is knowing what the law is. And sometimes I get those folks to take the class, sometimes I don't. That's okay. I mean, they can do what they want, but I would recommend you take it because I'll guarantee you, in 2013, everything changed.
Right.
And that's been a few years ago, but I guarantee you, if you haven't bought a gun, if you don't have an HQL, it means you haven't bought a handgun since 2013. You don't know what's going on. You need to know that.
Right.
So,
So, Mike, can you mention real quick U.S. Law Shield as well, as far as that goes with the...
yeah, so we're partners with U.S. Law Shield. U.S. Law Shield is basically concealed carry insurance in a nutshell, but they offer the best program on the market. I've researched several of them, and it's the best deal on the market. It's the best deal going. So we partner with them. So folks that sign up with U.S. Law Shield through MD Arsenal get a few extra little perks, And we usually have a sales rep in the building when we do these classes to come in and talk to the students about protecting themselves, because U.S. Law Shield, their whole philosophy is, are you ready for the fight after the fight?
Right.
So once the fight is over and you've protected yourself and your family, are you prepared for the legal consequences?
Right.
Because who gets to decide in a shooting or a defensive situation? Who gets to decide? Even if you're innocent, you could still be charged with the crime, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
Right.
what you're up against, and U.S. Law Shield offers a solution for folks, so you don't have to worry about losing everything you own if you ever have to protect your family. So it's a great product. So,
I put a link in the comments to their Facebook, and everyone can check that out if they want.
right, absolutely. So
Awesome. Well, I think we should one more time. What are our hours of operation?
Dudley, I'll let Dudley do some talking.
So we're open 7 days a week. Monday through Friday, we're open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And Saturday and Sunday, we're open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And please just come on down, check us out. We'd love to have you. It's been a great opening so far. We're really excited to see a lot of people in, and so.
And the address is right here on the screen, 19828 National Pike in Hagerstown. Stop by in any of those hours. Take a look around.
Definitely.
The phone number's here, 240-707-6380. So call with any questions.
Yeah, call and ask for Mike. He loves that.
Please, go on our Facebook page, leave us a review if you've come by and you had a good experience. Please let us know.
Or
Do
Yelp.
the same thing on Yelp and Google. We would love your reviews and support. And I guess that's pretty much it.
And that's it. It went by pretty quick. It was.
It was a good hour.
All right.
All right, people. Thank
All right,
you.
Thanks a lot.
All right,
Thanks
Have
a
a
lot.
great
Thanks for
week,
tuning
and
in.
we'll
All right,
see you
guys.
soon.
Yeah, we'll
Bye,
see you guys
guys.
soon in the range.